Good day, fellow champions of inclusion. I'm Aaron, and this is the Inclusive Dad podcast, where we explore inclusion and make it practical. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join me in exploring ways we can create a more inclusive world together. You are important, you matter, and you can make a difference. Today, my guest is Kathy O'Connell. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me on.
Absolutely. Why don't you just start us off by telling me a little bit about yourself?
Okay. To begin with, I'm a white mother, and career wise, I am a licensed mental health counselor here in New York, and I have a specialty in working with people primarily with disabilities, but anyone can work with me. You don't have to have a disability. We're inclusive of
Hmm.
people without disabilities, but I help people who want to date and want to make meaningful connections on the dating scene. And as you can imagine, that can be very challenging for people with disabilities. And I myself, born with cerebral palsy, had incredible parents. I was pretty much always included in life with peers, school, all that. But personally, I really struggled with the whole dating process.
Hmm.
And in terms of being even seen as someone people will want to date. Long story, but that eventually worked out for me, and I've been happily married for many years now. But I do like to help people, and Aaron, dating has to become so complicated today without the apps. So I'm like a guide for people on what I call their dating journey.
Sure. Yeah. Let's start off. What is your definition of inclusion?
To live a full life. And to me, that is, of course, and very individual,
Hmm.
but it's more about doing what you want to do in life and pursuing your dreams, your path, and creating inclusion for yourself along the way.
That's interesting. Creating inclusion for yourself along the way. Do you want to talk about that a little bit? Because, I mean, for me, I guess I have a daughter with a disability, so I was kind of the one. Well, I mean, I kind of view myself as bringing up inclusion, wanting to create inclusion for her. Can you maybe talk a little bit about how we can take some responsibility to create inclusion for ourselves?
Yeah, sure. So, along the lines of dating and also friendship, because I believe that it's very important for all people, but especially people with disabilities. What I found throughout my life, and I have a very visible disability that
Hmm.
affects my walking, my fine motor coordination, my speech. And what I have found is that when I meet people And sometimes if I say in the group, I will say, hey, I had CP that says how it affects me. Feel free to talk to me about any question you have. When I had done that throughout my life, that draws people to me because I'm so upfront
Mm-hmm.
and so matter of fact that, and the feedback I get from people is because I'm embracing including myself by inserting myself into whatever situation that gives them the freedom to be who they are,
Mm-hmm.
and it seems to help us to drop into more meaningful connection with
Right.
each other.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense when you were describing that. I've had similar situations where I share like, well, I mean, I share my story a little bit about my having a daughter with a disability, just not even like a super personal story, and within like almost immediately people are telling me like very personal things. I feel like it's similar to what you're describing, where just by me sharing something pretty personal with somebody, it kind of, like it says, it lowers that curtain or whatever it is and allows other people to share. So I that makes a lot of sense to me.
Right, right. But can I share with you my initial inclusion story because
Sure.
the listeners might enjoy that. So I'm older and I began going to school before IDEA, the
Mm-hmm.
federal law mandating inclusion of children with disabilities was in effect. So when I began kindergarten, I was sent to a school 45 minutes away from our house that would submerge children with disabilities. And that was in the early 1970s. And they were teaching me things that I already knew, like to tell time. And I remember I went kindergarten, first grade, got into second grade, and thought, I don't belong here. And actually, none of us can belong here because we were separate. And here I was growing up in a big neighborhood with friends in my neighborhood. They went to one school. I went way away to the southern school.
Mm-hmm.
So I, as a wise 7-year-old, did what came naturally, and I decided to have a temper tantrum every day before school, saying I don't want to go here. And that went on for 6 weeks. And my parents were on had different approaches about it. And finally my mother listened to me and pulled me out of that school. However, she was denied the right to enroll me in public school because IDEA was just and brand new. So she was very smart and said, well, I know the Catholics single will take my money. So she put me in the single, but they, I tell this story because that is my initial inclusion story of asserting what I believed about myself and where I needed to go in my life. And I do believe, had I not done that, had I not listened to myself, even at the age of 7, something in me would have died, and something in my spirit and my will would have died. So I always encourage people to listen to where they know they belong and where they know they don't belong.
Wow. That's so you said you were 7 when that happened?
Yes.
Wow. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
crazy. So yeah, you early on. How had you seen your parents advocating for you, or that just came to you, or
No, because you gotta know I'm the youngest of 4
okay,
kids. We have a very close knit neighborhood. So everything about my life was about inclusion
right?
and me doing whatever anyone else did. I think naturally
Yep,
my disability was always accommodated, but I was never limited.
right.
So to go to this different school, and even at 7, I remember looking around and there were kids with physical disabilities, learning, behavioral, and it felt like we were just all clumped together.
Right.
And I remember thinking, I want more than that.
Yeah, that makes sense. How do you work with people to gain the confidence to put oneself out there in the dating scene?
Well, I have a online program for people where they can join. It's a membership type of program where we meet 3 times a month,
Okay.
and I one one time of the month I provide a training, like tomorrow night, and giving a training on the 5 stages of success in dating. And then we meet 2 other times of the month where I provide coaching within the group to help people to believe in themselves, their worth, and to be able to have the confidence to take what I call healthy risks, which are risks that allow us to go for our dreams and get out of our comfort zone.
Right.
So I provide the ongoing coaching and guidance to help with self-esteem and confidence, which I think are the foundation for dating success. And then we work on all the practicalities of how do you meet people to dating apps to
Hmm.
boundaries to how do you have a good relationship.
Yeah. How did you meet your husband?
Okay, so I've been married now for 16 years,
Yep.
so we're going back a while. And we met on a dating app.
Okay.
actually. And on our so when I was dating, I wanted to meet people in person before I talked to them on the phone because I wanted them to get the full effect of who I was and my disability, how it showed up. So he and I met and we had dinner. And by that point, I was in my late 30s at that point. By that point, I realized, okay, if I don't bring up having a disability, if I allow it to be the white elephant in the room that we don't talk about,
Right.
I won't hear from him again. So I brought it up and said, so how are you doing? Because my husband doesn't have a disability, and big tears, well wrapped in his eyes, began rolling down his face. And I thought, oh my God, let me crawl under the table and never date again. Because he said I'm so uncomfortable. And I took a deep breath because I knew that going under the table would not help things. And I said, okay, well, I have cerebral palsy. It's with me for life. And these sort of things that would make me a good partner. And then I took one of those healthy rips and I said to him, I would like to get to know you, but if you don't feel ready, that's okay. If you ever decide you're ready, let me know.
Hmm.
The next night I get home and I get an email from him, and he said, "Oh, I don't know if I can date someone with a disability, but you're so confident in
Hmm.
who you are. I at least need to get to know you." So we began to date,
Hmm.
and for like the first 3 months, at the end of every day, I would put on my counselor hat and I would go, so how are you doing with that saw? And he would say, oh, I'm not sure. And then the next breath, he would say, so what are you doing next weekend? And I know we were going somewhere, and
Hmm.
2 years later, we got married.
Wow, that's awesome. That's a great. That's a great story.
Yeah, it's, and it, having a intimate partner, person you can rely on, a person who loves you, it also is, I think, for everyone, but especially people with disabilities, it's a quality of life issue. And having a teammate really improves your quality of life. And when I was single, I would hear a lot from the people I work with. Oh, I would love to meet someone, but I don't think I can because I have a disability. And after my eventual success in dating and finding a partner, that really made me want to devote my career, my skills to helping people find their person because it does really improve if you meet the right person, your quality of life.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I'm divorced and I've been with my girlfriend like 3 years now. But I mean, even I don't have a disability, but just for me, dating is. I mean, it was scary. Like it's scary for me also without having a disability, so I can understand that part of it. And like you're talking about the confidence part, that is a huge part of it. And I don't. I mean, I don't have a lot of confidence, so just for me trying to get up the confidence to go out and date is. I mean, that was a struggle for me also. So it's some of the stuff. It seems like it's universal, right? I mean, it's just maybe more prominent with people with disabilities.
Right, right. Which is why anyone disability or not can work
Yep.
with me and
Sure.
join our dating maybe via program because you're right, Aaron. I think everyone out there dating needs someone in their corner
Right.
giving them guidance and
Yep.
support.
Yeah. And I mean, when I got married, I was 22, and I mean, dating at 22 and dating over 40 with all the changes that have happened, that was a whole different ball game. So there's
Right,
a lot of different things out there now than there was obviously when we were younger. So it's yeah,
right.
it's a little different.
It is actually there's so much out there now for dating.
Yep.
People can easily be overwhelmed
Yeah, for
by
sure.
all the options.
What are some strategies people with disabilities face when trying to date and develop meaningful relationships?
Well, I think initially it's about getting beyond the judgment.
Right.
Like I work with people who are wheelchair users and who often say to me with dating that it's hard for people for potential dates to see beyond the wheelchair to who the person is. So one strategy is what I call the power to attract. So helping people to identify their core qualities of who they are as a person and to focus on pulling them out
Mm,
as their being people.
right. So you said, or do you suggest people share they have a disability right away, or depends on the person, or
You know, that is a very hotly debated topic.
yep,
And at the end of the day, I will always tell people you gotta do you and what's the best for you. But I will say my recommendation is to disclose your disability early on because it may save you and them a lot of time if
right,
they're not a person that can even open up their mind, let
right,
alone their heart, to being with someone with a disability.
right. Yeah, yeah. I mean that makes sense. As hard as it might be to share it right away for that rejection. Like, I mean, if they're not able to be with a person with a disability, you might as well get it over with sooner than later and move on.
Right, right, right.
Yeah,
Now, I do recommend if you're like on a dating app and you're talking, you may not want to put it out there right away. You may want to let the person get to know you a bit.
right.
But, also, I feel, and that's in my personal opinion, that when we try to hide a disability, we're giving into that false belief that there's something wrong with having a disability.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. What are strategies that you offer people to deal with rejection, and which can be so common in dating?
Okay, so I use a common analogy, and because I listen to your show, I know you ask some people at the end about Sudan, but let me ask
Sure.
you, do you like mint chocolate chip ice cream?
Do like mint chocolate chip ice cream?
Yes.
Um, I mean, I like it. Yes, I would eat it.
Okay. So I can't stand it. I hate mint chocolate chip ice
Yep.
cream. I love ice cream, but for some weird reason, that color green
Oh.
really grosses me out. No offense to people who love it, but I use the analogy to talk about rejection because really what rejection is someone simply stating a preference. And it's not about there's something wrong with you. And oftentimes in dating, and I know that this is human nature, we can get rejected and think there's something wrong with me.
Right.
When really someone is just saying, no, you're not for me. So I really work hard because rejection is a big issue for people with disabilities and dating. And they work hard on getting men to see that it it's when they're rejected, it's ultimately not about them.
Yeah, that's a great way to talk about it because you are right. It is just like a preference. That's a great way to look at it.
Yeah, I mean the fact that I hate mint chocolate chip ice cream has nothing to do with the fact that people love
Right.
mint
Yep.
chocolate chip ice cream.
Yep. And that's why they have so many different flavors of ice cream is because people have different preferences or like different flavors.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. You teach about the concept of sexual ableism, which I've never heard those two words together before. What is it, and why is it so damaging for people with disabilities?
Well, I I am absolutely like claimed to that, but I do think I might have come up with that phrase because I never heard of sexual ableism before, but it's a belief that it's a systemic form of discrimination based on the belief that simply because you have a disability, that then makes you inferior in the areas of dating, intimacy, and relationships.
Hmm, interesting.
And I forget, did you have a second part to that question?
I well, what is it, and why is it so damaging for people with disabilities?
Okay, so why is it so damaging? Because it perpetuates the belief that people with disabilities are not potential partners. They cannot experience love, relationship, sex, and that they had nothing to offer to other people in relationships.
Yeah. Um, does it go does it go further than that though? Is there some undertones of maybe people with disabilities shouldn't have sex or procreate?
I think there's always that undertone,
Okay.
unfortunately, and I know that sometimes it can come from families that are ultimately very scared about their family member with a disability getting hurt. Um, but sometimes, and we're unfortunately becoming by the day a more politically divided country. I
Right.
think there's still the undertone of devaluing and wanting to eliminate
Right.
people with disabilities.
Right. I mean, yeah. So I have a daughter, obviously, or with a disability. So it is an interesting. It is interesting to think about. I mean, yeah. I mean, I do know that. Do remember, she does a lot of her doctoring at the Mayo Clinic, which I'm sure you've heard of in Rochester, Minnesota, near us. And I don't remember how old she was, but I do remember being in an appointment and the topic of sterilization, I'm pretty sure, was brought up in her lifetime. So I mean, it's a very deep um, or something to think about for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes. And something like that should be a very individualized
Yeah.
and personal choice.
Right. For sure. For sure. Why did you get into coaching people with disabilities to be more successful in dating?
Because of my personal experience.
Right.
And you know, I I I dated for a good 20 years before I met my husband. And I just been trying to save people time based on my
Right.
20 years of the lessons I learned.
You racked up a few lessons over those 20 years.
Yes, yes, yeah, just a few of them.
Just a few of them, yeah. What is one tip you can share to help the listeners be more inclusive today? So just something everybody can start doing today to be more inclusive.
I would say I'm a big one for, as I said in the beginning, living a full life.
Hmm.
And that's very individual to you and your dreams. But in my opinion, much of living a full life is inherent in including yourself in events with other people, in places, and to include yourself first and foremost, even if people don't accept you and don't want you somewhere.
Right.
Assert yourself and know that you belong, especially if it's something that is helping you to live your full life.
Yeah. I love your talking about including yourself or take the steps yourself to be included. I love that.
Yeah. Well, I think about it this way. No one is going to give you permission
Right.
until you give yourself some
Right.
permission.
For sure. Um, where can everybody connect with you?
Okay. So my website is Radiant Abilities, ABILITIES.com. And I'm most active on Facebook and Instagram at Radiant Abilities. And I have a little free gift for your audience, and that they can, I think we figured they can download in the show notes,
Yep.
which are 10 affirmations to help build your confidence for dating.
Awesome. Yeah, for sure. I will put all those links in the show notes, the freebie and the other ones you mentioned, awesome as well.
Okay.
So you've already mentioned the surprise question, so it's not really a surprise. But do you like spam lunch meat? Yes or no?
I'm a vegetarian.
So it's no.
But I do have a very funny quick story about the man. So I
Okay.
have a dear friend who is the pickiest eater in the world.
Okay.
And when he was a kid and went to overnight summer camp, his mother would pack him cans of spam because she knew he
You would
would
eat
not
it.
eat anything else.
Wow. So he ate. So she packed enough for like the whole week.
Yes!
Oh my
Can
goodness.
you believe that? I think I am so grossed out even saying that.
So would he just eat it? Just take it out of the can and just eat it, or would he cook it?
You,
Just eat it.
well, he was a kid, so
So he
I
probably just took
doubt
it out.
he cooked it.
Yeah, I mean, I have eaten it. Like, I mean, I've never taken it just out of the can and gnawed on it, but I have had it like in macaroni salads. But usually I cook it.
Okay.
Interesting. He must have really liked spam.
I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Oh, it was a pleasure, Aaron. Thank you for having me and for all the work you're doing on promoting inclusion.
Thank you. Thank you or to those listening. Thank you for allowing me to be part of your journey. It is truly an honor. Please join the podcast newsletter by clicking on the link in the episode description to keep up with the latest episodes. Together, we can make the world more inclusive. Until next time, stay empowered and be a champion for inclusion.